Welcome to the 2014 ARC ORNL Recognition Ceremony, final presentations. I see a lot of anxious faces in the audience. Thank you very much for your time here. We very much appreciate the time you spent here. We're always encouraged to work with young people and also to work with educators who value science and math, and hope that this gives you an opportunity to have learned a lot about where you want to go and who you want to be, and teachers for you to be able to take it back to the classrooms and excite your students even more than you already do. Teachers who take this time out to come to the summer program are really giving up some precious time, and that means that you're a very dedicated and gifted teacher. We thank you. This morning we have several people to offer opening remarks, and the first one is my CEO and president, which is Andy Page. He has been our CEO and president since 2009. Prior to that, he worked in our National Security Division as vice president and director. And prior to that, he was a 25-year Marine. So that means that nobody gets out of line while Andy talks. So Andy, welcome.
Thank you, Marie, and welcome, boys and girls. We were talking to Jeff and Eric before we got kicked off this morning, and we were thinking that this is probably is it the 25th year that we've been doing this? Almost 25 years in which we've been hosting this Appalachian Regional ORNL camp every summer. So most of you out there weren't even born when we started doing this, and the rest of us, well, we were teenagers. So I want to welcome you. I know it's been a great week. You've had some great collaboration here at ORAU and with the scientists at ORNL, and I appreciate their time. And Dave Clemens here this morning to represent ORNL, and I want to thank ORNL for its partnership as part of this program, and also Eric and Jeff for their participation and partnership from the Appalachian Regional Commission. This partnership is very important because without it, this wouldn't work. And all the dedicated volunteers and things that we're able to bring together for you in the last week would not be possible. So I want to thank all the volunteers and everyone who's participated to make this program a great program every single year. You know, Oak Ridge Associated Universities is a company that believes in science and education. And so many of you that are sitting out here today, and many of you that have come before in this program, may come back in through Oak Ridge Associated Universities to do your graduate work, to do your PhD work, or to do an internship in science education. So it's important that what you've learned here this week, you take and apply to your life to further that education capability. And we hope to see you again back here someday as a graduate student or a postmaster student or a PhD doctoral student doing your work over at ORNL or over in any of our 224 research laboratories where we place research participants every single year through our science education program. And I have Dr. Dean Evasius with us this morning who heads those programs. So if you want to apply early, just see Dean down here and we'll be happy to take a look at you. Thank you, welcome again. Thank you again for all the sponsors, everybody who's made this possible, and Marie, thanks for the opportunity to do some opening remarks this morning.
Thank you, Andy. We're also very pleased today to have David Kine with us, who is Director of Communications at ORNL. And you should know that today at ORNL is Take Your Child to Work Day, and there's almost 1,000 children waiting for Dave to show up this morning. And also his daughter is in the audience. Welcome. He is taking his daughter to work today as well. Dave is, what he does when you say Director of Communications, you all have been working with scientists, so what does the Director of Communications do? And he's responsible for all the external and internal communications at ORNL, and you know how big that is, you've been there. Community relations and protocol visits. And what protocol visits are is every dignitary who wants to come to ORNL, he's responsible for, his staff's responsible for. So it's a huge job. He gets to do a lot of different things, meet a lot of interesting people. So those of you who, so go get your science degree, and then if you want to join what Dave does, go back and get a master's in journalism. Dave has a degree in journalism from Ohio State. He has been an editor and reporter at Knoxville News Central newspaper, so he came to ORNL. And he actually came to ORNL from Y-12, which is another federal facility here, which is a national security facility. So he comes with a wealth of background. He is passionate about the education and outreach at ORNL, and so he's delighted to be here to join you, and we thank you for taking time out from your 1,000 other children that you're going to be working with today. Thank you.
Thanks, Marie. Hi. I didn't know I was going to get a fiddle concert this morning. That was fantastic. Thanks, Andy, for this great camp. I mean, can't be done without Oak Ridge Associated University. Thanks to the Appalachian Regional Commission for making this possible. Because what you've done here this last few days is extraordinarily important, whether you're a student, whether you're a teacher. And the only thing I really want to say to you is to leave you with an understanding of how important what you've just done is to the country, not only to yourselves for the reasons that have already been articulated, but if the United States is going to continue to thrive, it's going to continue to compete in a world that has increasing competition from all corners. It's going to be because we continue to be energetic and creative about solving problems, finding solutions, advancing technologies, understanding scientific principles better, and making new discoveries. When this camp started, nobody conceived of the possibility that you could sit right where you're sitting and access information from anywhere in the world, or take a picture of your friend sleeping, or tell your mom you're going to be late coming home on a piece of glass on your hip. That was science fiction. Oak Ridge started because a bunch of scientists were just doing physics. They were trying to understand what the world is made up of. And they figured out atoms. And they figured out neutrons and protons and electrons. And the chemists began to figure out how the elements fit together. And they began putting together the periodic table. This is all in like the 30s, not even 100 years ago, when some of your grandparents were alive. And they figured out when they got to uranium, well, if you split that element into different elements, you release an unbelievable amount of energy. And it dawned on them immediately, we need to understand that. Because energy is what makes all of this possible. If you think about the world, you take for granted that you get up in the morning and flip on the light, and the lights come on, and you can get in your car and go where you need to go, and you can come here, and I bet none of you even thought, well, I hope the power doesn't go out today. There is much of the world, maybe most of the world, where that's not true. Where you have to worry about that kind of thing. How do you start businesses there? How do you ensure good health? And how do you improve people's standard of living when you're not even sure the lights are going to come on? So how do we provide energy for this growing world? So these scientists realize there's great potential there. They also realize there's great danger there, that you can create a weapon it could destroy the world. Because what was going on in the 30s? Adolf Hitler was trying to take over Europe. And a lot of the leading physicists were from Germany and from these countries around Germany that Hitler was invading. So there was a race to harness that power and understand it. And part of that effort, Oak Ridge was created. Oak Ridge was created to try several paths to providing the fuel needed in what they call a super bomb, an atomic weapon. And that weapon used twice in warfare ended World War II. And the hope of these scientists was that that power would force mankind to grapple with matters of war and peace and figure out how to get along. They haven't been used since. Hopefully it will never be used again. All of that research and all of that science led to medical isotopes, nuclear medicine that's made people better, nuclear power that helps you turn on the lights, understanding of materials that make them more lightweight, understanding of medicines to figure out what will work in fighting disease. So I want to leave you with this. These problems of discovery and understanding how the world works and discovering new things can have impacts you can't even imagine sitting there. But we want to be the first ones to get them. We don't want those discoveries to be made elsewhere in the world, certainly not by our enemies. So you're a part of that. Thank you to you teachers who took your time to do this so you can engage your kids in science and teach them to think this way. And for you kids to spend time doing this, doing experiments, I mean, tell your friends what you worked on and use the really technical language. You will sound so smart because you are really smart. You wouldn't do this if you weren't capable of doing great things. You're the people that are going to come work at Oak Ridge National Lab in the future, and we need you to be excellent because we are trying to solve some of the toughest problems in the world. We're trying to solve some of the toughest problems in the world. Like, where's the energy of tomorrow going to come from? How do we make cars and trucks and vehicles much more fuel efficient to save the limited energy that we have? How do we build buildings better? How do we make solar panels work better? How do we get more fuel out of plants as biofuel? How do we make sure that fossil fuels aren't polluting the atmosphere unnecessarily? How are we getting ready for the next big challenge, the next big disaster? How are we guarding ourselves against our enemies in national security space? I went on longer than I intended to, but I wanted to just emphasize to you how important it is that you keep this interest going. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you to the partners who have made this possible. Thank you to the teachers who are going to take this back to your classroom. What you do matters a great deal to us. So thank you, and have a great conclusion to your time here in Oak Ridge.
Thank you, Dave. Now you understand how important it is for you all to keep moving in the areas of science. There is a lot, and there's tremendous opportunities, and so much fun. I hope you've seen some of the fun of science that sometimes it's hard to find in the classroom. And I know that the teachers who are here are doing the fun in the classroom, but for you students, sometimes you don't always get to see that fun. So remember the fun as you're plowing through a book or plowing through the internet on an ebook, because we're now going to ebooks. Next, I'd like to introduce Earl Gold. He is the ARC Federal Co-Chair. What that means is that he's responsible for all the money that's spent that helped bring you here and keep you here for 2 weeks. He is also passionate about education. It's his responsibility to be sure that the ARC funds are spent to benefit the families of the Appalachian region. And so this is part of his investment in you and part of his investment in your community and in the future of your community. He has been the federal co-chair since 2010. He has 20 years of experience with initiatives in rural areas in Pennsylvania. And this is a nice twist. This is something interesting you get to do when you branch out with your education. He was Director of Governmental Relations and Deputy Director for the Puerto Rico Federal Affairs Administration. So you get to travel. It's one of the other nice things about getting an education is you get to travel and interact with a lot of different people and share your expertise and learn from other people. He has a master's in public administration from Penn State, which is an excellent university. And we're so delighted to have Mr. Gold join us every year. He joins us because he cares about this program, he cares about you, and he cares about where you're going to be in the future. Mr. Gold?
Thanks so much, Marie. Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, I want to thank all the teachers, the mentors, the counselors, the staff, everyone who spent the last 2 weeks working with these kids. I really appreciate the effort, the time, and all the imagination that you guys put into this work. It's really made a difference. It's what makes this program so successful. I also want to recognize, I want to thank the parents for all the kids who are here today, for sharing your kid with us and trusting us with something that we understand is so valuable to you. And we hope that when your children go home, that you'll find a new sense of energy and a new sense of adventure. There's also someone I want to particularly recognize today. And I ask her to stand up. Lisa Burns, one of the teachers. Lisa, you here? There she is. Lisa Burns is a teacher in Buchanan County, Virginia. Now, when she was in high school, she was a camper. She came here at Oak Ridge as a camper. She participated in the program. Back when she was in high school, she's now come back as a teacher. That's what we call success. Lisa, thank you so much. We also have with us this morning Brooksy Carlson of Tennessee and Sarah Stafford of Georgia. Brooksy and Sarah. Now these folks, Brooksy and Sarah, are what we call ARC state program managers. Sounds really kind of bureaucratic, and it kind of is sometimes. But they're critical to the ARC program. These are the folks who, at some point or another, were involved in getting you here, whether it was in reaching out to your schools and communities throughout your state, or taking your information and names and sending them to us in Washington to get you enrolled. Our program managers are the folks who get things done, who really are very critical to the operation and the day-to-day and long-term success of ARC. Now, you should know that I am an experienced camp parent, I'm an experienced camp counselor, and I'm an experienced camper. So I know exactly what you're thinking for a moment, which is, who is this guy? How long is he going to go on for? When is lunch? And when I get home tonight, can I go out and hang out with my friends? Most important, as soon as we're done with pictures and the certificates, lunch is right there. As to ditching your parents tonight, here's the deal. They're going to be kind of curious about where all this energy came from. So before you head out the back door, you should think about 3 nuggets you want to leave with them, so they can have something to ponder over as to why all this energy came back. Because remember, these are the folks who couldn't get out of bed in March and April to go to school on time. So they're going to be kind of interested about where all this activity is generating from. And you can just give them a hint, and they can share with the rest of it over a period of time. Now, to answer the first question, who is this guy and how long is he going to go on for? Well, I'm the guy who has to okay the federal government use funds to pay for the past couple weeks. And that's my job because President Obama appointed me or hired me to represent him at the Appalachian Regional Commission. And my job, as Marie said, is to make sure that ARC funds are spent well, and that they're spent for a good reason, and that no one is wasting federal tax dollars that your mom, dad, and grandparents and neighbors pay every year. Because that's how we finance your camp experience here, federal tax dollars. So to do that job, to do my job, I need to ask a couple questions. And, you know, I'm an official of the United States government, so you need to answer these questions and you need to tell me the truth. And the quicker we get through this, the shorter I'll grow. First, can I see a show of hands of the campers who had fun, who had a good time? Good. Who here, which of you, does anyone here think that this was drudgery, this was work, this was like enslavement? Okay, that's good too. That's really good. Now, who here would like to learn more about the subjects that you worked on here at camp? Okay, that's pretty good too. Now, if it meant you could earn a boatload of money, who thinks they might be interested in learning a ton more about the subject you just got a taste of here at Oak Ridge? Okay, I like that. That's pretty good. Now, wanting to learn more is often called developing compassion. Learning a lot more about a subject sometimes is called going to college. Learning a ton more with the hope of being paid a boatload of money is sometimes called a career. So I'm really glad most of you raised your hands. That shows that just maybe there is a nugget of passion here that can germinate into a college degree and bloom maybe into a career. Now, at the Appalachian Regional Commission, we call that an investment in the future. And it's gone on for the last 25 years. We have used your moms and dads and grandparents' tax dollars to have a camp like this. Because part of my career, part of our career at ARC, is to plant those seeds in Appalachia, throughout Appalachia. Now, bad news. There is homework. And the homework assignment is this. Remember, I'm an appointed federal official. So you have to do this stuff. That document we just talked about this summer. Well, you and your parents as women need to work on this. You need to water it, you need to get the sun, you need to nourish it, you need to help it grow into a passion. So that that passion can not only reward you with a boatload of money, but with a lifetime of fulfilling and exciting experiences. Now, with that, let's say this. Thanks for coming. Have a great school year and work on growing your passion. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Are you all ready? For our guests, this is actually the culmination of two programs, both funded by ARC and supported by ORNL and ORAU. The first is the Middle School Science Academy. The second is the ARC ORNL Summer Math, Science, and Technology Institute for high school teachers and students. So we're going to let the middle schoolers go first, Middle School Academy. So the high school guys, you can hang out and relax for just a minute and get to see what they got to do this week. And They worked on renewable energies. And they worked on wind and solar and biofuels. So there'll be 3 different groups to tell you what they've learned and what they've been able to do this year. The first one, who is the first group up?
Solar.
Solar. I knew it wasn't going to be what was in the program. So solar, this is our solar group. Welcome to the stage.
Hi, my name is Sparkle. Welcome to the 2014 ORAU Science Academy.
Hi, I'm Chase. I'm from Ohio. This week, our group focused on solar energy. We learned a lot about solar energy, including PN junctions, solar arrays, and solar power, and creating our worm gearbox project.
Hi, I'm Allie from New York. We'll now start the presentation by talking about solar power and semiconductors. Lauren, would you tell us about silicon and PN junctions?
Hi, I'm Laura from Alabama. Silicon is a special element that forms 2 layers within each cell of a solar panel. The PN junction is the space between these 2 layers. Most of the electrons start off in one layer called N-type silicon. The steps for harvesting electricity from solar panels are the following. 1. The electrons get excited by the sun. 2. The electrons travel from a wire in direction starting the flow of electricity. 3. When the electrons travel, they go to the P-type silicon again. 4. This flow of electrons is electricity that we can use. Sparkle, can you tell us about different types of circuits?
This week, one of the first things we learned in the solar group is about solar panels. We learned that solar panels are connected in an array. Each array contains a certain number of watts. Each watt is made up of a different number of amps and volts. What is an amp? Amps are the rate at how fast electricity and something flows. Volts are the strength that electricity flows. An easy way to remember this is like plumbing pipes. The voltage is equivalent to the water pressure. The current is equivalent to the rate at which the water flows. As I said before, solar panels are connected in arrays. Some of these arrays make up series circuits, which are one of the circuits that we learned about. Series circuits are formed in a line from left to right where negative charges are connected to positive charges, like batteries in a remote. In a series circuit, the volts add and the amps stay constant when calculating the electricity of the circuit. But in a parallel circuit, the negative charges are connected on one side and the positives are connected on the other. So the watts are calculated the opposite way, which means volts stay constant and the amps add. In every device, the amps and volts are different because every device has a specific and different amount of electricity needed. For example, if one device in a series circuit has volts that equal 1.5 and an amp that equals 0.5, but in another device that is a parallel circuit has volts that equal 1.5 and amps that equal 2. Each device's wattages equal 3. The equation proves that if a light bulb was example 1 and a blow dryer was example 2, each one still has the same electric power, just made up differently and uses different voltages and amperages. Trace, can you tell us what you learned this week at the science?
These are some of the things we learned about electricity this last week. We created circuits and experimented with different types of circuitry using solar cells as a power source. We also ran tests and figured out how solar panels work. We ran tests to see how much power 1 panel, 3 panels, and 6 panels generated. When we hooked up 3 panels, it was a series circuit. The power of the series circuit was 1.1 watts. After we did the 3 panels in a series, we connected all 6 panels to create a series parallel circuit. The power of 6 panels connected was 2.2 watts. And we tried other ways to gather data, but when we tried this, we were receiving negative data. Overall, we learned a lot about series, circuits, and electricity this last week. Now, Allie, will you talk to us about our visit to the ORNL to meet with a solar scientist?
I'm going to talk to you today about solar arrays and electric cars. We went to ORNL and talked with Kurt Maxey about solar panels. We also saw a charging station for electric cars, which was run by solar power. The solar panels there were only about 15% efficient, and the maximum efficiency for solar is approximately 29.7%. The charging station is the length of a football field and can power 4 houses. Some of the cars there were a Nissan Leaf and a Chevy Volt. Mr. Maxey told us the industry is working towards 30% efficiency. Melissa, will you tell us about the visit to the solar house?
Hello, my name is Melissa. I'm from Tennessee. I'm going to talk about the solar house. It is located at the Children's Museum of Biofuels. This house uses only solar energy to power its electricity. This house has solar tubes instead of solar panels. The differences between solar tubes and solar panels are that the solar tubes are able to direct, diffuse, and refract light. The house contains many features that aren't in normal homes. The vent for the stove is in the counter and moves upward with a push button. The bed is in the wall and can be moved forward for use, and you can use the bathroom while taking a shower, but I don't know why you would want to do that. The thing you would have to get used to is to live small. Now Josh, will you talk about your plans?
Hi, my name is Josh from Virginia. I'll be talking to you about how much energy your appliances use. I'm going to talk about 30 of my appliances, like the Xbox, my 49-inch plasma TV, and my electric furnace. The Xbox takes 0.21 kilowatts and the TV takes 0.4 kilowatts. And the electric furnace takes 5.5 kilowatts. In order to find out how much energy is used, I have to find the sum of these appliances. The next step is to find the product of the hour, product of this energy in 11 cents per kilowatt hour. The next step is to multiply this product by the hours of a day, which is 24 hours. Now I have to multiply 30 days for a month and finally multiply by 12 for a full year. These 3 appliances could cost me $2,874.96 for a full year to comfortably enjoy my home. Now Chase will talk about the pros and cons of solar.
The pros of solar energy are that solar panels can be stored to use the sun's energy to produce electricity. Also, the sun's energy is very clean for the atmosphere instead of burning fuels or using power to use electricity. Other pros is the sun's energy will not run out. It is a natural renewable resource, so it's going to be around for a very long time. One con of solar energy is the cost of an array. It can cost $25,000 for a large home, but it is not uncommon to cost much more. Also, the efficiency of solar energy is questionable, as most solar panels have low efficiency percentages. Now, we will tell you about our solar inventions.
What I have made is a solar-powered sprinkler. When the sun sets on the solar panel, energy flows through the wires and it automatically moves.
I made a solar-powered sprinkler, and when the sun hits the solar panel, it spins the fan.
What Josh and I did was a device that uses the stored heat in the attic and the heat that rises through the vents in the electrical attic. And whenever the sun hits the panel, the fan acts and blows the warm air through the tube, using it in your dryer, water heater, or anything else that uses warm air.
Sparkle and I created a solar-powered laptop, and whenever you're outside, there's a fan, solar-powered fan included, which you can use.
Before we end our presentation, we would like to thank some special people that have helped us accomplish this project.
A special thank you to Mr. Brent Lee and Dr. Elaine Vaughn for giving us guidance and support the whole entire week. We couldn't have finished this project without you.
I'd also like to thank Mr. Kurt Maxey for sharing his knowledge about the solar panels and EV charging stations, Ms. Heather Buckberry and Ms. Carol Welch. Now, the WIN group will talk about their project.
Good morning. Let's throw caution to the wind and learn about this amazing alternative energy My name is Elena Collins from DeMille, Kentucky, and this is the wind grid presentation. Over the course of the last week, we have learned about wind turbines and how wind can be a big part of our efforts to help the environment. But before learning more about the turbines, it is important to know a little bit more about wind itself. Basically, wind is a simple air motion. The motion is caused by flowing of high pressure to low pressure, which can happen when land heats up faster than water. There are many positive things about wind, which my best bud Allie will tell you now.
My name is Allison Graves from Tompkinsville, Kentucky. There are many advantages and disadvantages of using energy from wind turbines. One major advantage of using wind energy is that it doesn't have a fuel cost. It also does not cause pollution, and it is renewable. The major disadvantage of using wind energy is that you may not always have enough energy, enough wind to produce energy efficiently. Some believe wind turbines are very noisy, but even when we were right beside of one, it wasn't very loud at all. People also think they spoil great views of the landscape. Now here is April Schupenhauer with information on our trip to Buffalo Mountain.
Hello, I'm April Schupenhauer and I'm from Bradford, Pennsylvania. On Tuesday, with the wind at our backs, my groupmates and I went to the Buffalo Mountain Wind Farm. We were taught all about wind turbines by Carl Ireland. He began by showing us how big the base of the blade was. All 8 members of our group could fit inside of the ring. He also showed us some tools they used, such as a huge wrench that was about 2.5 feet long from tip to end. After that, we transitioned into the turbine area. He told us about the inside of the nacelle and how tall the tower was, 80 meters, approximately 26 stories. Then after, we went inside the base of the turbine and looked at the controls on the inside. We also looked at the height of the tower from inside, as well as viewing the 32-foot depth filled with cement that supports the entire structure. I think all of us who went have learned a lot about wind energy. I know I did. Without a fan. Next, Nathan will tell you about what is in this nacelle, as well as the other parts of the wind turbine.
Hello, my name is Nathan Smith and I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm here to talk to you about the parts of a wind turbine. First, we have the blades. The blades are the part of the turbine that spin in the air. Second, there's the nacelle, which is located at the top of the turbine. As you can see, it contains the motor, gearbox, and the brake. The motor converts the wind into usable power, the brake stops the turbine from spinning when there's too much wind, and the gearbox magnifies or amplifies the energy output of the rotor. There is also an anemometer and wind vane for testing wind speed and direction. Now I'd like to introduce the amazing James Fair.
Hey y'all, my name is James Fair from Liberty, South Carolina. I'm here to talk to you about the designs for the turbines that we built. Think about how they drag, the weight, and the material would affect the performance of the blades. We made the base of our turbine out of PVC pipe and decorated them with spray paint. We also used gearboxes to turn the mechanical energy of the blades to make just like a turbine blade. Those are my favorite things this week. In fact, it was fantastic. Now I'd like to introduce my good friend Jordan.
Hey y'all, hey everyone, my name is Jordan Weiss and I'm from Delaware, Georgia. After we made our turbines, we had to test them. The first test took place in a classroom. We used fans to simulate the wind in a controlled environment. We quickly learned that the pitch, which is the angle of the blades, had a big effect on how fast the blades spun. We measured the volts and amps with a lab quest, so we could determine the power output in milliwatts. I didn't win the classroom competition, but hey, you win some and you lose some. Now we won in the classroom competition with 920 milliwatts produced using a rounded balsa wood blade. Let's give her a big round of applause for Mallory. Now my friend Mallory will tell you about the wind tunnel competition.
Hey y'all, my name is Mallory Brewer and I'm from Gadsden, South Carolina. After we tested our turbines and fans in the classroom, we got to go to a NOAA wind tunnel. NOAA is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Ron Dotson and Ed Hall were there to help our group test out wind turbines. The wind speed at the highest setting got up to 32 miles per hour, which is almost as strong as a small tornado. Jordan won the competition by producing approximately 650 kilowatts using a small triangular fossil wood blade. Congratulations, Jordan. During the competition, we had a lot of broken blades and a few hubs fell off, but that's all part of the scientific process and we had an awesome time. Now I welcome my friend Tashina Thomas to you.
Hi, my name is Tashina Thomas. I'm from the tiny town of Akron, Alabama. We have learned a lot about wind energy this week. One thing we have learned about wind energy is that wind is simply air in motion and is made up of nitrogen and oxygen. We had a great time making a wind turbine. Mr. Mark helped my group members and I put together our wind turbines. We would like to thank Kim and Ms. Lauren for being our teacher for science camp. We would also like to give special thanks to Carl Army at Buffalo Mountain for teaching us about the real turbine, and Ron Dawson and Ed Hall for letting us test our wind turbines in the wind tunnel. They also let our group members stand in front of the wind tunnel so we could feel how it felt. Our hair was going all over the place. This camp was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. We hope you guys enjoyed our group presentation in our group. Thanks for your attention.
National Group, and we're going to tell you about our work with biodiesel. My name is Chantel Kennedy, and I'm from Buchanan County. Biodiesel is made of oils or animal fats. It is also biodegradable. As you see, this is a biodiesel cycle. We start with vegetable oil and end up with biodiesel. We will be discussing this later on in the presentation. Biodiesel is renewable. It reduces greenhouse gases, and also it has the same mileage and horsepower as diesel. Biodiesel is the fastest growing alternative fuel and is safer to handle than gasoline considering it has a higher flash point. Biodiesel is non-toxic, reduces vehicle maintenance, and can be used with existing infrastructure. Although there are many advantages, there are a few disadvantages to biodiesel as well. For example, it turns into a gel-like substance in cooler weather. B100 produces slightly less energy than petroleum diesel and produces more friction in the engine. Biodiesel made of grade rubber and plastic. Also, there is a slight increase in nitrogen oxide. So now Kyle is going to talk to you guys about the procedure.
Hello, my name is Kyle Landolfi, and I'm from Hawley, Pennsylvania. I'm going to give you a brief explanation of the procedure to make biodiesel. To start, vegetable oil and potassium hydroxide were added to a separatory funnel. The two liquids were mixed by slowly flipping and burping the separatory funnel. After 3 to 4 minutes, the mixture separated into 2 layers. Because the glycerin is more dense than the biodiesel, it sank to the bottom to form the second layer. The glycerin was discarded and the biodiesel stayed in the separatory funnel. This process was repeated. Next, the biodiesel was washed by adding warm water to the separatory funnel. The two liquids were mixed and the wastewater was discarded. This process was repeated 2 times. The biodiesel was left to settle overnight. The biodiesel was separated into 2 layers and the bottom layer was discarded. The mass and volume were recorded and the biodiesel was emptied into a beaker. The beaker was placed on a hot plate. It was stirred and heated to a temperature of 80 degrees Celsius for 15 to 20 minutes until the liquid became clear. The biodiesel was cooled. It was then ready to burn. Now Brandon is going to explain the burning process.
My name is Brandon Vega, and I'm from Liberty, South Carolina. We measured the mass of 8 milliliters of biodiesel and poured it into a petri dish. We lit the wick which was sitting in the biodiesel. A flask of room temperature water was placed above the biodiesel, and the changing temperature was recorded. This is the setup we use to burn the biodiesel to heat the water. You can see a black cord which is connected to a temperature probe. This records the temperature of the water every 10 seconds. As the biodiesel was heating, we constantly stirred the water inside the flask. After 5 minutes, we blew out the wick and measured the mass of the biodiesel again. This procedure was repeated 2 more times. This is an example of one of the groups that collected with the temperature probe. Now here's Cindy with data.
My name is Sydney Interley, and I'm from Boone, Mississippi.
This table represents the change in temperature for every gram of fuel that was burned for each of our groups. The peanut oil used the least amount of fuel while creating the most amount of power. However, the sunflower oil used the most amount of fuel, creating the least amount of power. Based on our results, the peanut oil is the best oil to use while making biofuel. Now, Trevette is going to talk about procedural errors.
Hi, my name is Trevette Bookman from Holmes County, Ohio, and I'm going to talk about the procedural errors. Overall, we had very little procedural error. Our instructors were very pleased with the data we have collected. One group was able to collect very precise data. This is that group's graph, and as you can see, the temperatures were very close. Now this is my group's graph, and as you see, our temperatures varied. I felt that our data was very good, and we didn't find where any error was made, if any. This was another group's graph, and as you see, theirs varied too also, but we're all in the same range. This program makes it much easier to record our data. You can see all 3 trials at once. It also helps because it makes the graph for us. Now Megan will introduce the advantage of making biodiesel.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm from New York. I'm going to tell you the benefits of making your own biodiesel. It's a lot easier to make than petroleum fuels. It can be made by vegetable oils, fats, and greases. These things are renewable. The materials to make the biodiesel are low cost, and it costs about 80 cents to make a gallon. Another benefit is it lubricates the car, so it makes your car last longer. When we make biodiesel, nothing gets wasted. The glycerin is used to make the soap. It also reduces pollution in the air and your environment due to the lack of sulfur. And now Janelle is going to tell you the uses.
Hi, I'm Janelle Turner from Liberty, South Carolina, and I'm going to tell you the uses for biodiesel. The first, biodiesel is promoted by several different companies, but one of the important companies is Safeway. Also, biodiesel is most commonly used in commercial vehicles. They are also used in boats. However, most boat owners only use biodiesel in their boats if they know that their engine is going to be compatible with the product. Next, I'm going to tell you about how biodiesel has been tested as a potential cleanup agent for shorelines. One major example of this was the oil spill in 2010 for BP. Also, biodiesel has been used in commercial biosolvents shown to work in coagulating crude oil and letting it to be skimmed off the surface of the water. So now Nick is going to tell you about our trip to NTRC.
Hello, my name is Nick Corbett and I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'll be telling you about our trip to NTRC. At NTRC, we were told about different kinds of alternate fuels, such as electricity and biodiesel. We were then told about a competition called EcoCar 203 that combines 3 different cars, one that uses gasoline, a hybrid, and an electrical vehicle. After the introduction of the facilities, we toured the engine simulation rooms to see how they tested engines. The rooms had an engine and different parts hooked up to it to test efficiency and performance under certain conditions. These parts could also be rearranged and rehooked to change the type of vehicle between car and truck. They then showed us their 3D printers where they made metal parts that are used for projects. They also have a plastic welding area that they use to weld pieces of plastic together. Among that, they have a robotics section where they keep robots that students have built for competitions and the awards they've earned. On behalf of the entire middle school program, we would like to thank Jeff Schwartz and Earl Gold of ARC, and Julia Abbott, Mary Westfall, and Pye Murlock